So hello everyone, welcome to the IndabaX Roadshow closing ceremony. This is now kind of the final event of like 3 months of tutorials and of talks and of companies introducing themselves and hackathons, competitions and all that jazz. My name is Maria Schuld. You might have known me from the other events. I'll represent the organizing committee today and I will take you through the next hour. I'm a little bit nervous because I have to handle a lot of things here on the streaming platform, but I think it will be all fine. So just relax, take a cup of tea or coffee, like sit back and enjoy the closing ceremony. I will now share screen. Okay, great. So, what awaits you today is the following. First of all, I'm super excited that we have the very, very busy Ulrich here, who is one of the organizers and founders of the Deep Learning Indaba. And we have him right at the beginning, so you can relax after that. I think he has got a lot to do tonight, like launching other things. And he will tell us a little bit about like what actually the Deep Learning Indaba is, but also like, since there was also a COVID break, what's actually happening next year. And I think I'm very, very excited about this because I don't even know what's happening next year. Then I want to go through the talks that were hosted in the roadshow so that you're actually, so I assume none of you has actually watched all of them. If anyone has watched all of them, please reach out on the chat. I would be really interested to hear. And maybe I'll take you on stage and you can kind of present it. But so I guess no one has watched all of them. So I want to show you just like where to find what. And there are a couple of, or actually all of them are real gems in understanding what's happening in machine learning in South Africa. A lot of tutorials, a lot of knowledge is actually transferred there. And we're busy also putting up a lot of them on our YouTube channel, or we give you the links that you can actually rewatch them. And then we have a lot of award giving. So we announced the winners of the 4 categories of the IndabaX Roadshow Awards. And then we had 2 hackathons that were organized by KPI and Lifegear, sponsored by the Zindi platform. So those winners will also be announced. And then I'll just leave a few words on what happens next year and how you can get involved. Okay, so first things first, Ulrich, if you manage to unmute yourself, then the floor is yours and you have to tell me when to click. Or otherwise, I can also do this for you because I'm administrator. Let me see.
Oh, there we go.
Perfect.
I was about to type, say that I'm looking for the unmute button. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm not going to take too much of your time, but I'd like to say a few things about what the Deep Learning Indaba is, how it started, and where we're going. I've spoken with a number of people across the world in the last week, and the Deep Learning Indaba crops up in many places. Last Friday, I had a talk with a big group of people from NVIDIA who are interested in getting involved and sponsoring the Indaba. I spoke with Mustafa Sis just in passing, who's at Google AI in Ghana. And he says, yes, I've spoken at this Deep Learning IndabaX and that IndabaX and that IndabaX. Then I read other research reports and from other parts of the world, and the IndabaX movement is taking very seriously and is almost seen as a proper research output. So from the Deep Learning Indaba, a number of other communities have sort of copied what's been happening in Africa. So the Deep Learning Indaba started in 2016, 2017 as an experiment to see what we can do together to strengthen machine learning in Africa. I have a quote that I really love. It's by Sir Ernest Rutherford, who won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry in 1908. And he said, we had no money, so we had to think. And this is almost a story that's true for a lot of Africa. We don't have a lot of resources, but we have brains and we can apply it creatively. And so it gives us the space to do pioneering kinds of work that one could probably do nowhere else in the planet. And the core of the Indaba is community. It's just trying to build a really strong community. So in this little chart that you see over here, this map of Africa, this is a map of where IndabaX events were held across Africa. There was the first ever Portuguese-speaking one in Mozambique, fantastically organized this year. Togo, at the end of the last year, had their first event between 4 different universities. Cote d'Ivoire came on board. Mali had their first event at Robots Mali. And it's not as if IndabaX becomes a brand. It should never really be a brand. In Ghana, people are free to do with it what they want, and they sort of merge IndabaX with data science, the data science community, and then at a joint conference. The goal of the Indaba is just to be a completely free-form vehicle to support all of you as much as possible to do great work and to grow a community and just build trust between each other. So this this has absolutely been astounding, especially given that this was a COVID year. So I want to just look forward to what's in store for next year. And the main thing that I want to talk to you about is the reunion party. After 2 years of COVID lockdown, I think it's time for a massive reunion. So we're planning this for August 2020 in Tunis. We aim to get at least 700 people to Tunis. The budget for this thing runs at 700,000 US dollars. So that's almost 10 million rands for the big reunion party splash. Companies are really excited to get on board, and we've already had sponsorship discussions with a number of big players in the field. The structure of the big reunion party in Tunis will be somewhat different to the past big parties that we've thrown. I want to call them a party and a reunion because it's more about the community. And I know there's a crazy amount of science that's happening as well, and we all lift each other up. But the community is the most important. So we'll still have an Indaba event over 6 days. That will be followed by 1 or 2 days that will be free for people to go and sightsee. If you love Star Wars, you can go to the Tatooine site and take pictures there. And after a few days free, 2 days free, there will be a massive hackathon. Plan is to, in pencil, is to have the National Indoor Arena in Tunis, filled with lights and music and everything, and then a completely immersive 2-day exercise in hacking, coding, and producing amazing things, or possibly even a research paper in 2 days if it's possible. And that will be the bang by which the Indaba closes. I want to invite you all to this. There is no fixed plan of what exactly is going to happen in this week. So there will be many tracks. You are welcome to own any of those tracks. You're also welcome to suggest tracks. There will be parallel things happening in parallel. You're also welcome to come on board and join the committee in organizing this thing. You're welcome to come on board and join and organize evening parties. This is really something that the community owns, and we try and do some things top down. So part of it is just logistics, fundraising, etc. But we're trying to keep it as freeform as possible. Massive big opening party, big closing party, etc. Our goal is to have scholarship funds for at least 150 students to fly to Tunis that we could support financially to get flight tickets to Tunis. So everyone says, what about COVID? We are taking COVID as a risk factor, but I think travel within Africa by August 2020 would not be an issue. Unfortunately, the UK is the more difficult customer in this picture, and hopefully they'll also come to their senses by then. So take your diaries, mark August 2020, big party. Don't go anywhere. Come to Tunis, wear your Star Wars kit, and join us for building something big. And then lastly, I just want to say on behalf of everyone who's been pulling strings and moving money around from this side, thank you very, very much for everyone who has committed so much time in building a community. No one in the Indaba organizing committees anywhere gets paid a penny or a cent for what they do. Everyone does it because they really, really believe in the mission of strengthening tech and science and machine learning in Africa. Everyone believes in the mission because they care about it, and then everyone believes in each other. I found in the Indaba community that people genuinely care about each other almost more than they care about their own work and their own prestige. And I think that is something that is extremely unique in machine learning and communities across the world. And at the moment, if I speak to people in different parts of the research space in AI, the Indaba African community is almost like the envy. Everyone wishes to be like that, and I think it's really nice to be in the pioneering seat where you can do something novel and people want to follow, which is definitely true. So thank you very much. I'm going to hand back to Maria, and hopefully many of you can join us for organizing the Big Splash in Tunis. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Ulrich. Oh, I'm super excited as well. So that's really cool. Ulrich, I kick you out into the audience, so you're freed. Thanks very much for coming. Okay, lovely. Yes, so this brings us to our local version of the big IndabaX movements. And so as if you watch the events, you might have heard already, what happened this year is that we thought okay, COVID has already given us a lost year in some sense. We didn't want another lost year. But at the beginning of the year, all the people from the past organizing committee realized we all had new jobs. We were super, super busy. So we realized we can't really do a big online conference. And we also didn't really know what happens or how this can be done well. I'm personally not a big fan of online things at all. So I'm happy I'm not in the audience. I'm actually moderating because that's more enjoyable in my view. But so what we thought is okay, what we can do though, we want to showcase. So basically we want to connect. We want to showcase what's happening in machine learning in South Africa and basically connect companies and connect universities and connect positions with people. And so we invited, or we just put a call out of companies, institutions to host events on these Fridays that you might have enjoyed in the last 3 months. And so first of all, before I go and show you what happened, I want to thank the organizing team. So we started off with a bit of a bigger team, but I think a couple of people I really want to highlight. First one is Siobhan. She has been so instrumental in the beginning, especially the 1 or 2 months beforehand, to reach out to organize people. So thanks very much. And she then moved into another country and still continue to do a lot of things. Then there's kind of the old, suspects from last year. And Chris also pasted me in there because I actually forgot myself. That's Anna, who just had a child and still decided to be part of this. Chris Fourier, you will see him on lots of events, in the videos. And obviously Chris Curran is kind of a staple as well. And thanks to Chris Cleghorn and Quanda for the website support. And then a very big thanks to Jean, because she came actually in the first event as a host, and then she didn't leave, and she just supported the team by so much, and it's fantastic. She knows so much about marketing, everything. I learned a lot. So that was cool. Okay, cool. So what do we actually do? You might remember our first event was a big splash with Cape AI, and Cape AI told us a lot about how to turn actually an idea into a machine learning startup. We had a big panel discussion as well. I was there, I'm kind of working for a startup, and I realized a lot of things really overlap with my experience. And so if you are interested in this startup idea, I really recommend to have a look at this one. The second event was Masakana and Sisonke Biotics. So our beloved Jade and our beloved Chris. They had a really cool setup where they planned to do a lot of games and use really the Discord forum that you all might have joined in a very interactive way. So I found that super interesting just to try it out, and also had a panel, and we're thinking a lot about collaborative research and introduce these initiatives that are just fantastic. So Masakana, as you know, is more in natural language processing. Sisonke Biotics is more in medical research. Then we had, the deep learning Indaba's very own Benji and Rich, and they were introducing RAID and Prime Labs. Maybe some of you are actually working there. And so there were a lot of highlights, especially the tutorials were very, very well done. But I really love the panel afterwards on AGI, because I always think sometimes in South Africa you get a lot of applied research, but you do not get sometimes the more philosophical one. And so this was a big favorite of mine. Then this one, if you are a beginner and you want to learn fundamentals of coding and machine learning, I very, 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 very much recommend you to rewatch this one. So I work with PyTorch a lot, and I learned so much, and it was so well structured. So Daniel reached out actually to the Indaba movement and said he would offer free tutorials. He wrote a book, and this tutorial is the best structured I've ever seen in coding. So fantastic introduction, and such a kind person as well. So we watched this one. This one is probably my favorite in terms of what I learned. Spatial Edge came in, and what was so fantastic is that for 1 or 2 hours, They were basically, we had two people on screen, and one of them was programming the whole time, and the other one was kind of commenting on when things got too fast. And what they presented was something that I wasn't aware of. This is how you use notebooks for industrial strength code, so really for production code, because I always thought notebooks, I use them for prototyping, and then you write like the grown-up code. But this was for the first time that I've seen how you actually write notebooks, turn them into libraries, import parts of it, and really like structure your entire code with notebooks like Jupyter notebooks. So this was a bit more advanced, but the presentation was like a really good introduction. I think even if you like code every day, this can be extremely interesting for you. Then we had Data Profit that many of you may know. They organized a big AI night that they had like many of, but this one was in conjunction with IndabaX and had also like a lot of topics like in panel discussions. It was very, very fancy, also with like fancy videos like zooming in. So this is like also fantastic. This one is not yet up in the YouTube videos, but we'll provide the links. Then we had ByteFuse. They were first advertised as Lambda AI, but changed their name in the meantime. And I don't have any pictures, only because I also haven't like put up the video yet, but this picture is really important because we learned a lot about llamas. So it's a company that identifies very much with this animal. And a very interesting part of the topic that they talked about is search optimization. So for example, how does it happen that in a search space where you have huge documents and you have got a vast number of them, you can actually find something and so fast. So, and this was a lot about how you build representations of things, for example, web pages or pictures, so that you can actually search them well. Then we had Insta-Deep. Insta-Deep is known to many, many people, and we'll also like come on board to present an award just now. And besides, if you want to know about the company itself, there was a fantastic tutorial on reinforcement learning that really like came from the basics and went into the applications. So also very much recommend this one. We had then the School of Data Science and Computational Thinking. So this was like a more career day where you had a panel where people talked a bit about if you want to study data science, if you want to have a career in data science or machine learning, where to go in South Africa. Country was organizing it like in his very, very friendly manner as ever. So if you're a student, I think this is also very important to rewatch. And then on a very similar vein, so also coming more from the academia, we had Anna, so our internal Anna, who is not very good on this video here, but so that's her. And she organized together with other University of Pretoria lecturers and scientists panel discussion on like research there, and also a lot about like applied research in other disciplines. And so finally, we had last week, right? Lifegear. Lifegear is a company that is like has links to South Africa, I think founded in South Africa, but has reaches out to all over the world. So it's an international company that works in digital wearables. And so you learn a lot about like the idea of the space of health and data science and how you can make products out of them. And I really loved how they had like these little memes everywhere. So there were lots of like wonderful talks there as well. And they organized a completely like outstanding, like side-standing hackathon. So this was like just a fantastic contribution. So that's it from there. Let me just maybe summarize. So as I said, like I'm the first one who says online events won't really like make a community. I also have to say that one of the ideas or the experiments that we tried is to get everyone who registers for the IndabaX this year, which was obviously not such a complicated process this time. We wanted to get everyone on a forum and just see what happens. And kind of my personal hope was a little bit that the community forms out of the forum. So Discord is, like Slack, it's just the forum that we use to organize the IndabaX. But so there was very, very little discussion there. So kind of like the learning from this was maybe like, obviously community needs, especially here, we need face-to-face interaction. We need to know each other first, and then we grow something out of this. However, if you still want to stay on the Discord forum, it gives you access to like 300 or 400 people by now who are kind of interested in machine learning in Southern Africa, on the African continent. So we keep it open, and maybe next year when the event happens and when people actually meet face-to-face, we can like revive this forum and really use it, or you want to use it in the meantime. So that's an idea. So much about this. Okay, now what all of you have been waiting for. We want to talk about awards. We had 4 smaller awards from kind of the IndabaX South Africa that were all, how do you say, denoted? No, so that were all like, I had an award money of 10,000 Rand. And anyone could apply or could nominate someone else. So some of the people here might not even know that they are nominated. I don't know if anyone's here. I thought a lot about if I should like call people up on stage, and maybe I'll do that very briefly, or we try this out if this works, if I find you. We first have the coolest. I don't know if people are here because we only decided on the winners, or like we only closed a couple of days ago. So it's. But if someone's here, maybe I see if I find you in the audience. So get ready if you see your name here. We had first the coolest coder category, and that was the idea to that people could submit their GitHub repositories, and we have a look. And if this looks like really cool open source program where someone has put in a lot of effort to make code understandable and shareable, then you had a very good chance to win this. And the winner is Nathan, and I say Michlo or Michlo. I'm German, so I pronounce every word, every name German, so I just say Michlo. I'll just quickly look if I find you in the audience. I haven't found you earlier. Or just like, if you're here and you want to like quickly come on stage, then just say something in the chat, or just say something in the chat anyways, even if you don't want to come on stage. Otherwise, we'll contact you, so the award won't go untaken. There we go. Oh yeah, and I want to quickly like show you also like what he did. So Nathan has a master's project that he turned into a really beautiful code repository. It's called Disend, and it's a disentangled representation learning framework. I didn't know before what disentangled representation learning is. It has something to do with feature extraction. It's built in PyTorch on top of PyTorch Lightning. It's an absolutely beautiful example how, you know, you have clean code, you've got like you know, documentation, and everything is like in the right folders, everything is like cleanly done, everything is tested. So if you want to be inspired of how to write beautiful code to share, then this is a nice example. Okay, someone knows Nathan, or I don't know. Okay, cool. Thanks, Peter. Then we have the second category. That was the most rigorous researcher, and what we were asking for is one or more papers that kind of like show that someone's like doing a really good job at researching, also like choosing important topics for like the mission of the IndabaX. And the winner here is Raseche Sefala. I don't know if I pronounced your name correctly. And I've seen you in the audience, actually. Let me try to get you. Here, I invite you on stage now. I think you have to accept, and then you might pop up here. But while this might happen, I just want to show you. So what we were super impressed by is that you like got a paper into NeurIPS 2021 in the data set category. Wonderful, there you are. And we were obviously super impressed also with the reviews of the NeurIPS reviewers, but then also with the topic, because everyone always says, we need data sets from Africa, we need this and that, but no one actually does it, or some people do it, but it's really hard to do. So congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Do you want to say one or two things about this research? I don't know, I don't want to put you on the spot here.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Yeah, it is very difficult getting a paper anywhere, especially if you're doing data sets, but everyone wants data sets for machine learning, which is a bit weird, but then thank you for the recognition. I really appreciate it.
Wonderful. Congratulations. Okay, cool. I will kick you off again. And obviously to all winners, we reach out to you and then get your bank details. And the award money is not tied to anything. You can just spend it on whatever you want. If you want a new GPU, I don't know if you get a GPU for that money, but or if you just want to go on holiday and relax from your research. We actually didn't have runners-up planned, but we had such close runners-up in this category, and the two were Finn Stevenson and Kevin Eloff, that we decided to also give them a recognition of a Take-A-Lot voucher, which is sponsored by Nitex, of 1,000 Rand. And so Finn has written a super cool paper on an early warning system for COVID, which is also like very relevant and was published, and it's based on like a recurrent neural network. I really like that, you know, he takes the times where COVID, so between the waves in South Africa, to train the model, and then he lets the model like get confused. And this is kind of like the way that the model warns. I hope I summarized it in the right way. And Kevin works in reinforcement learning with like reinforcement learning agents, and has a whole series of papers published in this field that are really, really high level. So wonderful, well done. Okay, And then we had the third category, and this was, it was actually quite interesting because we got a lot of submissions for this one. And I think this is maybe also an indicator, so persistent passion, how we advertise this is like, if you might not have the research paper published, or you might not have the GitHub repository, that you're actually trying to do machine learning forever and ever and ever, and you're not giving up. And even if life like throws stones into your way, so then you can apply for this category. And it shows a little bit of how many people are still also, you know, on the way to becoming a data science or scientist or machine learning specialist, and you know, are still struggling. I think a lot of people in South Africa love this field and want to be there, but if you are working in this field, you know how long it actually takes to become proficient. So this was the idea of the category, and the winner is Ashley Ehlers. Ashley shared with us her story. She comes from, if I may say this, but I think this is not disclosed information, but she comes from Mossel Bay. She comes from a community where computer science is not known. You wouldn't actually think of a career in anything but computer science, and has since really worked herself up into an absolutely fantastic career at the University of Stellenbosch, and works a lot in the medical space, in the biology space. I will very briefly check if I find you here because I haven't checked before. Or Ashley, if you are here, you can also just reach out. I see an Ashley here. I just invite you on screen and see if that's you or if that's someone else. And while this might happen or might not happen, I just want to say we also had so many runners up here. So we have 4 Take-A-Lot badges to also give away, but also people whose story we're just super impressed with. Wendy was also part of organizing last year's Indaba that didn't happen, and she's done tremendous work there, and she started a new NPC, for example. And you see here, Alex, so I have to explain this why I wrote this. There was one submission by someone called Alex, but who didn't provide his surname or her surname. And we, Alex, if you are here, we will reach out to you. We will ask you, we need a little bit more information on you and check everything is fine. And yes, then you can also redeem your Take-A-Lot voucher. Okay. Okay, no one's coming on stream. Then I am here with the 4th category, and this is the Extraordinary Engagement Award, and I won't present this, but this one will be presented by Anu. Are you here? So the reason I always have to take people on stage is that there can only be so many people on stage in this platform, so I kind of do this. Okay, I'm not seeing you, Anu. Are you here? Yes, perfect. I've got you. Yeah, I've got you here. I'm inviting you. And no, wait. I think I invited the wrong person. Wait. Yeah, there we go. Oh no, you should be coming up. He's connecting.
Can you hear me?
Hey, yes, we can.
Yeah, thanks for getting me on screen. Yeah, and thanks Maria and everyone for the amazing events and organizing. Yeah, so the Extraordinary Engagement Award is just for basically for us to give back to anyone who's really showcased amazing ability to engage in the community, uplift, create platforms for really helping people share knowledge and growing their skills, and just really being the glue of getting things off the ground. And yeah, I couldn't be more happy. Drum roll. Next slide. To give it to Jade Abbott. So I think many people know her. I'm not sure she's actually here. I've heard down the grapevine she might be.
So she's very sick. So I told her she was just yesterday she was marking exams until I was just okay, no, this is not happening.
Okay. But yeah, for those who don't know, Jade started the Masekane movement, which is basically sort of this really grassroots trying to have this distributed research initiatives in NLP, especially for low research languages across Africa, which has been amazingly successful and also just really inspirational, and has now been forked by movements like Conier Biotech and Suzonke Biotech. And it's really just such a huge thing for us to have this showcase the talent that we have, and really been the envy of many people to try and get something like this going. So really proud of Jade and what they've been able to do at Masikane. So yeah, congrats.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I'll kick you out again, unless you want to stay. No, too late. And then we've got the last two, which are our Hackathon Heroes. So there were 2 Hackathon awards. The first one was the Lifegear one. Melissa, I had you on stage before. I will get you now again. Yes, Melissa, I invited you. So both hackathons were powered by Zindi on the Zindi platform, which is fantastic, like platform to host data, which we have, which offered also to the IndabaX movement to actually like help out. Okay, Sabi, also, yeah, perfect. I'll just mute you. Yes, Melissa, floor's yours.
Hi, thank you. Okay, hi everyone. So I'm a data scientist at Lifegear Technologies. I just want to start out by saying thank you so much to the IndabaX for letting us be part of this like really amazing event. Thank you to the organizers, and then also thank you to Zindi for hosting the hackathon. Zindi has been like really awesome throughout, and yeah, I think they do so much for the community of African data scientists. Yeah, I would really recommend like anyone that's interested to go check out their page. It's at zindi.africa. Yeah, at the moment there's like a competition running where you can try to do face recognition for turtles. They have some really interesting problems there. Anyway, so at Lifegear, we are all about helping people age well. We're a bit of a, I would say, a health and wellness tech company. Part of what we do is to develop the algorithms for these wearable watches. Spot the Lifegear employee because they're wearing at least one of these, probably more. But it goes, much further than that. So the important part is what you do with the insights that you can gain from the wearable data. Okay, we can go to the next slide. So the problem at hand for this hackathon was predicting cardiac arrhythmias from the wearable data that was collected during sleep. Okay, so I'll just give a brief background for those of you who don't know anything about this. So an arrhythmia is an irregular or an abnormal heart rhythm. So that's when the heart just stops beating normally, or for episodes of time, it stops beating normally. And some of them are benign, but others can become life-threatening if they're left untreated. So the idea is that with wearable technology, you can detect these arrhythmias early, and that allows for early intervention, which can, ultimately save lives. Yeah, so there are many types of arrhythmias. One of the most common and well-known ones is probably atrial fibrillation, or AFib. But yeah, there are many others. So one of the traditional ways to find arrhythmias from heart rate or beat-to-beat interval data is by looking at heart rate variability, or HRV. And then probably the easiest way to visualize these arrhythmias is by plotting a Poincaré plot. It's a bit long to explain now, but it's essentially a way to visualize beat-to-beat intervals. So each pair of successive beat-to-beat intervals form a point on the graph. But if that's too much to take in, let me just show you the pictures. So on the bottom left there, that's a normal heart. So the beats are regular, and therefore they end up being on the diagonal because they're spaced, quite regularly. And then AFib has this fan-like pattern, and that's because the heart is beating so very irregularly. Then also have bigemini. So you can see that's when the heart beats in sort of this pattern, in coming in 2 beats at a time. So that's why you can see the 2 groups forming. And then also just included one of someone with quite advanced heart failure, yeah, in those you can see normally all kinds of crazy things. Anyway, so back to the hackathon. Yeah, marking this was really tough. We received many good high quality submissions. Some of these used traditional approaches or interesting ideas based on them, and others were deep learning. I find like the contestants were really creative. So I wanted to thank all of you for the immense effort we could see you put in, and also for the people who really like made sure that their code is documented and reproducible. It really meant a lot. Yeah, so in the end, we ended up using a number of performance metrics, taking into account the class imbalance, and eventually we were able to come up with the order for the top contestants. So without further ado, in fourth place, unfortunately, this is not a prize winner, but I just wanted to give an honorable mention for Conier. He really did absolutely fantastic work. We loved going through the code and seeing all the ideas and all the hard work that went into it. So we just wanted to mention that as a really great submission that we received. I don't know if you want to bring these people up on stage or not.
That is a good question. Let's go through them all, and then I'll see if I find someone. Or you can wave your hand if you want to come on stage, and we see. But let's go for the 2, 3, 4.
Okay. Well, then we can carry on to the third place. So the third place wins 3,000 Rand in cash, and it goes to Tiffany Woodley. She had also like a really interesting submission. Did lots of work exploring the data. Okay, second place. Second place is 5,000 Rand and goes to Christopher Cleghorn. Congratulations. He had a very interesting deep learning approach. Something I had never heard of before, called Rocket. Yeah, very interesting. And then finally, in the first place, 10,000 Rand in cash goes to Matthew Boss. Congratulations, all of you. Okay, do you want to bring the people up now?
Yes, at least we found Matthew MB. You're making it hard to find you. MB, here we go. Okay, so if you want to come on stage, you can join us. I don't know if I find anyone else right now, but the first place is probably also like a beautiful one to take up. Oh yeah, he's connecting. So this is always the moment when people would just like walk up the stage and you all have to applaud and stuff like that if we were in real life.
Hello? Anyone hear me?
Yes.
Hello. Thanks very much. Yeah, no, it's very fun. I don't have a webcam, unfortunately. Just a mic at the moment.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking part.
But yeah, no, it was great fun. Thanks for hosting it.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Thanks.
Awesome. And now you'll be kicked off stage again. Okay, wonderful. Thanks, Melissa, so much for presenting. Thanks so much for organizing. It's obviously lovely that we didn't have to do anything here. So that was just a breeze. So yeah, lovely. Okay, cool.
Oh, I just wanted to say, the winners should please watch their emails. I think we're contacting them. I think that's how it works. For their prizes. Please watch out for your in your email inboxes. Yeah, that's it.
Perfect. Thanks. And we're coming to the end. So this is now the last category. Oh yeah, here's the contact details. And that's the KPI hackathon that was running the entire IndabaX roadshow. And, you know, it was very big and organized by the team from KPI, and Samuel will present this one. Samuel, you tell me when I have to toggle.
I will. Okay. Okay, can you hear me? Yes, okay. Great. You can go to the next slide, please. Awesome. Okay, so my name's Samuel Senzel. I'm a data scientist at KPI. And together with my team, we prepared the Autonomous Shopper Prediction Challenge for the IndabaX Roadshow. So this was the premier hackathon of the IndabaX. And the idea was to, in an autonomous shop, if you can predict if a customer has taken a product from the shelf. So I'll explain a little bit more detail on the next few slides. So can you go to the next slide, please? So just before I get into that, oops, one back. Just before I get into that, I just want to thank the Deep Learning IndabaX South Africa for allowing us to create this hackathon. It was really, really fun to create. And then also thanks to Zindi for hosting it and being a really awesome partner to deliver the hackathon with. Next slide. So just a bit of background on the competition. So KPI has an internal venture called Moonshop, which is the first autonomous shopping solution in South Africa, making use of purely computer vision-based solution to solve the autonomous shopping paradigm. And for the competition, competitors needed to determine if a customer had taken a product from the shelf in a sequence of 30 frames. So they weren't actually given shopping videos. So there was no infringement of copyright happening. What they were given was estimated coordinates of landmarks on the shopper's body. So XY coordinates of the shopper's shoulder, elbow, wrist, and they were given that in a tabular data set, and then they had to use that sequence to predict if the shopper had taken a product from the shelf or not. So the value for us of hosting this competition is that we can now use these approaches that the competitors came up with in our end solution. So it is really just to gather new ideas and see some different ways of tackling the problem. And we were really, really impressed with what we got. Next slide. So how does a typical Moonshop look? So this is a Moonshop we did in partnership with Wellness Warehouse, which is a good food retailer in South Africa. So you can see that it's not a large store. At the moment, it's a really, really small store with only a few tens of SKUs, and which are products. And you can see that in the frame in the center of the screen, the shopper scans themselves in on the QR scanner, the turnstile closes, they walk into the shop, they take a product and they walk out, and they're billed within 15 minutes. So it's an incredibly convenient way to shop. It's really fun as well. And it is, yeah, we think it's definitely the future of shopping. Next slide. So to collect the data, you can see here our founder, Peter Boone. He is taking a product off the shelf at the Wellness Warehouse Moonshop. So on the left-hand side, you can see a raw frame. So that's a frame with no annotation on it. And then on the right-hand side, there are the landmarks I was talking about. You can see the red little dots. Those XY coordinates are then given to the competitors to predict whether the action within the 30-frame segment, whether the action was take or whether there was no action made. So you can go to the next slide, please. So what we required of the contestants was not only did they have to score on the top of the Zindi private leaderboard, but they also needed to create a video pitching their solution to us. So explaining their solution in a really clear way, and also providing a little bit of ideas on how to deploy their solution in real life. So they needed to list available tools and actually give it a good go at how they could actually practically implement their idea. So the judging criteria was the clarity of their pitch. So how clearly could they explain the idea, any insights they obtained or innovative ways that they tackled the problem, and then how realistic and well explained was their deployment strategy. So we were specifically looking for a strategy that is simple and then uses available technology. Okay, so just before we get on to announcing the winners, you can go to the next slide. We asked the top 5 contestants on the Zindi board to submit videos, those are animations, and only 2 submitted in time. So we are going to adjust the prize money accordingly, but these were 2 really, really great submissions. So in second place is Johan. He really crushed it. We were really, really impressed with his really innovative way of tackling the problem. So in computer vision, a really popular technique nowadays is to convert sounds or other forms of data into images, and then leverage the power of of convolutional neural networks to make predictions off of those images that you create from sonic data or tabular data or whatever. And Johan created images out of the data we gave him and then trained a convolutional neural network to make the predictions or to do the classifications. And he actually came first on the Zindi private leaderboard. And then in first place was E and Ease. They finished third on the private leaderboard, but they had a really incredible presentation. They did extremely in-depth model exploration and data wrangling, and they provided a fantastic deployment solution that really took into account how to implement their models end to end. So you could see that a lot of thought and a lot of preparation went in there. And with these things, it's always difficult because you have to decide on judging criteria. And the judging criteria was clear, and Ian Ease absolutely crushed it. So if you go to the next slide, we can hear from the winners of the competition in video form. I'm not sure if this is a slide deck in PDF. It could be. Or can you play the video?
I'm so sorry.
That's okay. I can also share my screen.
I told you that I'm actually... Yes, let's try that. So the only reason why I wanted to do it from this one is that... that sometimes the screen sharing doesn't work, but just try and then we see what happens. Since we're at the end.
No, I'm sure it will be successful. Okay, can everybody see?
That would have been so much easier.
I'm assuming everybody can. Maria, can you confirm?
Yes, I can. We can't have the sound though.
Really?
You could narrate it.
Okay, I think what I will do is just post a link to the winner's video in the chat, and then everybody can go watch it when they have a spare moment. It's 5 minutes long, and it's really, really interesting. I would highly recommend taking a good look at it. So I have no idea how to get the sound running right now. It's going to be difficult.
Cool. Sorry for that. This is my fault because Crowdcast is a bit of a science, and I'm kind of like... Yeah,
no, it's okay. I think I would be equally lost. Don't worry.
Okay, cool. Then let me finally share back to my screen, but we are kind of at the end. Yes. So what's next for us? Hopefully, and I think I can say this will happen next year, there should be a live event again. For those of you who are actually interested to get involved, the IndabaX South Africa is not something where like there's a team and you have to apply or something like that. The main Indaba actually puts out a call. Usually it comes around December, and then people can apply from a country and say, we would like to host an IndabaX. And in principle, you could have also, I don't know if you can have only one or more than one, always maybe you can help us. But in general, we are encouraged to actually meet up together and organize something together. And this is kind of how this team always evolves. For a couple of years, we had quite a consistency in the team, but always new people were coming in. I personally will, for example, not be available to organize next year. And also a lot of people started taking new jobs. So this is now really an opportunity to have fresh blood. This is also kind of important because so I think our social demographics in the team are not, so most of us are white. I don't know why this happened in the end. It just probably happened that people who started off at the beginning of the year got sidetracked, and it would be really fantastic to have better representation in the organizing committee. This year, everything was just improvised very much. Maybe it will also be a little bit improvised next year. But really, if you are kind of young, and if you feel even if you feel a little bit scared, if you think I'm not a fully trained data scientist, how can I actually do this? It is actually, if you can put an Excel sheet together, this is everything you need, and the rest is really improvised. And it's lovely to be part of this. It gives you a lot of opportunities to reach out to the machine learning community. It makes your face seen and makes you known. So just consider following this application process. This is everything that I wanted to say. Thank you very much again. Thank you for the team. Thank you for the hosts, and thank you guys for listening. And we will make sure that the video links are up on the webpage under the schedule. This will probably take us a week or so, so don't stress. And then you can rewatch everything again. And have a lovely end of the year. Goodbye, and see you next year at the party of the main Indaba in Tunis, hopefully.